So Sarah Boone was all smiles and fist bumps in court at the first appearance of her new attorney, and we're going to talk about it in today's video. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa. Sofa's back there. My name is Paul. Today we are going to be revisiting again, spoiler alert, shocker, the Sarah Boone case. Okay, so if you've been following this along with me, you'll know that she recently got her 9th lawyer. Well, they were in court for the first time together. It was like a match made in hell. I'm just joking. Some interesting points were brought up, and what I want to do today in today's video is just look over the live stream via, I believe this is Law and Crime or Court TV, one of them, and just look at a few of the key points of it that I want to speak to. So that's how we'll do this. We'll put some clips up and we'll review that. For those that might be new to this case, this is the case of Sarah Boone. She has been sitting in county jail for 5 years now. She is facing charges of taking the life of her late boyfriend, George. He was somehow coaxed or put into a suitcase. We're not sure why he got in there to begin with, but we'll find that out during the trial, I guess. But he begged for his life. He couldn't breathe while he was in there. She laughed, she mocked him, she recorded it on her phone, and then she went upstairs and went to sleep. He eventually succumbed to, not being able to breathe and died of, straight asphyxiation. I forget what exactly the term is. It's like situational, like when you're in a certain position you can't breathe. So now she's facing charges against that. Now one of the defenses, or the defense that they're going to use that we're learning, and that's one of the key components of today's video I want to talk about, is the battered spouse syndrome. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about them. We're going to use them as talking clips, or talking points, I'm sorry, while we watch the clips, and that's it. Let's get into it. Now on this first one that I'm going to put up here, really what I wanted to do is just watch what she's doing and let's talk about it. So I'll just kind of overlay it here. So she's coming in. Now remember, now she's sitting in the jury selection area. Now look at that smile. Oh, she's just giggling. Oh, just a tickled pink. I want to know so much who is sitting over there that she's doing this with. I don't think it's the attorney. I mean, look, she's just giggling. Now watch this in a second, her face. Look at that. She scrunched that face up. Probably the judge. I wonder if it was the judge coming out. This is all a game to her. This is all a game. And look at her looking at the thing right there. She's like, oh, this is my moment. She thinks she ate right here is what's going on. She thinks she absolutely ate and she is about to clean house. She is like, I'm playing chess and y'all are playing checkers over here, okay? You can't tell her nothing, okay? My whole thing is that I think she went into this thinking, please, I'm getting my I won. Well, she's going to be sorely disappointed. Let's get into that first clip now.
Judge, I'm James Owens, and I'm representing Sarah Boone.
Sir, good morning. Pleasure. Ms. Boone, good morning. Could you please state your, raise your right hand now. First, going to go ahead and swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Ma'am, good morning. Could you state your full name and date of birth for the record for me?
Sarah Boone, 10-10-77.
Good morning, everyone. We are here on several different items. The first is the court's notice of hearing that was sent out last week. The first issue on that was addressing the viewing of the physical evidence here in open court. On August 5, the court entered an order setting forth certain deadlines and scheduling, including the viewing of the digital evidence no later than September 3, and the physical evidence viewing to take place here in open court on September the 3rd, and a schedule for objections thereafter. The digital evidence review took place on August 9th, and the August 23rd deadline for objections has since passed. On August 14th, the court was advised of an alternative arrangement and advised the state to file a notice reflecting when and where and how that review would have taken place. I did not receive or see such a notice in the court file. Mr. Castore?
Yes, Your Honor. We were not able to file the notice prior to today. However, on Friday, August the 30th, we were able to have that evidence review of the physical items with Ms. Boone at the Orange County Jail.
Okay, all right. Ms. Boone, can you confirm if in fact that viewing took place?
It took place.
Okay, all right, very good. And who did it take place between the state, yourself, and was Mr. Lane with Prison Break Investigations a part of that viewing?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Okay, a couple of things. So he's going over all the stuff they're going over here, right? Now, if you heard that, so she did the evidence viewing. They did that. They just weren't able to file for it, right? Notice in the beginning where she was asking for the pen. Notice again, she's shackled again. She's got that pen. All that's gone, right? But again, she's sitting over there thinking like, oh, I ate. This is my theory on this, and we'll get into it more as we watch more. I think that this attorney has come in, and no matter what he's doing, exactly what she says. Battered spouse syndrome, that's what we're doing. Here we go with it. Okay, here we go. We're doing whatever you say, Sarah. Whether the evidence is there, whatever, that is what they are going with, okay? And we'll get a little bit more into that here in a little bit, but let's go to the next clip for now.
Also set for hearing this morning was defendant's motion for payment of costs and appointing neuropsychologist to assist the defendant in preparation of the defense that was filed.
Now, you heard the judge talking about, you know, the costs and the shrinks and all this kind of stuff. So the new lawyer's going to come in, and he's going to basically be like, you know, look, I want to take away whatever she was doing about that. We're going to be going back. We've talked to some of the old psychologists and people like that were working on the case before. We're trying to get them back on. You really can learn their strategy and everything they're doing through this. So it sounds like they definitely had people come in, and other ones at times that Sarah wasn't on board with what they were saying, right? And this is the unfortunate part. Well, I shouldn't say unfortunate. I mean, it is what it is. You know, in these cases and whatnot, when a psychiatrist or whoever, psychologist, whatever they are, come in, expert witness, and you know, you're like, hey, I want you to come in here and do this, and they say, okay, well, this is my professional findings. Oh, well, that doesn't line up with my defense. I don't like what you said. Go away. We want another one. You know, I think one thing that Sarah's probably gonna run into, you know, and only time will tell and evidence will tell, but if the thing is not there for a battered spouse syndrome, it's not there, right? You will eventually find somebody who needs a paycheck and will say that it's there. And I imagine to some degree that's what they're looking for. And it'll be interesting to see if one of these older people who are on the case, not older age-wise, but, you know, from before or whatever, are going to come back and say something to that degree. But we shall see.
That there's not an issue about my client Sarah Boone and I manufacturing the defense. And there's a second doctor, Dr. Michael Brannon. Dr. Michael Brannon.
B-R-A-N-N-E-N?
He spells it B-R-A-N-N-O-N. He was the forensic psychologist in the Marcia Thompson case. That was the Palm Beach County first-degree murder where she shot and killed her husband. Shot him 9 times. He was laying on the couch and was acquitted of first-degree murder back in July of this year. That was a 2019 case, so that took a while to get to trial.
I feel like the judge is sitting there listening to this like, seriously? You're going to compare that to this? Okay. Well, what you got there, buddy? I know he's not physically saying that or whatever, but I just feel like that's his stance, right? And what the attorney is talking about is a case, Marcia Thompson. Yes, she was acquitted. I mean, she shot her husband numerous times, right? And she successfully fought and won with the defense of battered spouse syndrome, that there is no other, like, basically her mental capacity with everything that was going on, this is the only thing that she could do to survive this man. Now, she had previously tried to use the defense of stand your ground, and that didn't work or whatever, like that wasn't going to happen. So then she did this right here. So, you know, if Sarah, I'm trying to, and again, I don't know how it works, but if Sarah is able to get the evidence, I don't know how the differences of I used a gun to kill my husband or my spouse on the sofa or the bed, whatever, because I was fearful, or I left him locked up in a suitcase alive and went upstairs and went to sleep. You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, if you're that scared, he could have still gotten out. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be very curious to see if she's going to successfully argue that.
But Dr. Brandon testified that a battered woman's experiences affect her perception of imminent danger. And that's going to be a question in this case, whether or not Sarah Boone, at the time of her actions, was facing imminent danger.
She's up there trying, when he said that, you saw her, she was like this. She looked down like, I'm still upset. I don't think that that was the case whatsoever myself, but was I there? No. Was I in Sarah's shoes? No. You know, I wasn't there. I mean, yes, apparently there's documented evidence of there was a lot of stuff going on between her and George. So, you know, who am I to say? I haven't walked in anybody's shoes in this situation, right? But just from what I've seen of the evidence, I mean, if you're just asking me like my little sofa sidebar over here, if I'm looking at the evidence and somebody is drunk, they're recording their spouse and taunting them while they're in a suitcase and they're asking to get out, and then they just go upstairs and go to sleep, that's somebody who's not afraid of that person. Because to me, if you're truly afraid of them, you would use that moment to be like, oh my God, I've got to either, if I can't escape this, I'm going to actually kill them because they're going to kill me first. You don't just go pass out upstairs. Because can you imagine if this was the case, if George was that abusive to her and he got out of that suitcase, what would have happened? You see what I'm saying? So that's where I'm like, how are you going to prove this? But I mean, maybe they can. Who knows?
In addition, Dr. Brand said victims of repeat violence may fear death in situations others would not.
And?
I love his dramatic pause. Like he dropped the damn mic and the judge was like, and? Okay, are we done here? We taking a smoke break? Like, what are we doing? Oh my gosh. I can't. Unfortunately, here's the thing. Okay, like take all the whatever out of it and just like look at the pure like superficial layer of this. This dude's coming in on the 9th hour, you know, the 12th hour, whatever you want to call it. Last minute is what I'm getting at. And he's trying to do what any defense attorney would do. He's being a little bit dramatic. He's being a little bit turned up. And it's just like, it's not giving what you're thinking. You know what I mean? It's like everyone at this point is just annoyed, right? I mean, the judge is just like, and, you know, is that your moment here? Okay, let's hurry up, right? It's been 5 years, buddy. Let's go.
That takes us now then to your motion for continuance file that was filed on August 30th. Courts had the opportunity to review that motion. Any other argument or statements with regard to that motion? Mr. Robinson.
Okay, now this is the big mamma jamma right here, okay? Basically, the attorney is going to go into that whole motion that he filed and all the reasons why they need a continuance. We're not going to go in depth with that here. We did a video yesterday, I believe, on it. So it's the video like before this video back in the timeline of the motion that he did and whatnot. Okay, and going over all these reasons, you know, essentially I've come in at the last hour, this, that, and the other. Now the judge, you're getting ready to hear him. He's going to have his drop mic, I ate, left no damn crumbs moment here in a second. But let's get into some of the, particulars, okay?
I think it's prejudicial if we're not allowed to present the defense that we believe we have a viable claim to. And I would respectfully ask, I'm not asking for, I think most times you come on a homicide case, you would need at least 6 months. I'm asking for 1 trial cycle, 2 trial cycles sometime at the end of the year or first of next year. I can be ready. I think that will give enough time for our experts to visit with Ms. Boone and formulate their opinions. I'm sure the state's going to want to take the deposition. I think they may have a right to hire their own forensic expert to go out and interview to see if they agree. But that's just going to take a little bit of time, Judge. I'm thinking 2 or 3 months.
He's up here trying to be reasonable. 2 or 3 months and this or that. Here's the thing. You know how this goes. 2 to 3 months turns into, well, we need this much more time. It's like, dude, he already went over this with Sarah. Sarah has put herself in this situation. Now, however, we will talk when we get to the end of the video about my opinion of how do I, like, what I think about this in general, because again, if you follow me, then you'll know I thought the judge was going to give a continuance of some sort, right? So I was very surprised that it didn't take place. However, I think that will have repercussions later, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's go to the next clip.
And we'll be ready to go. I'm not asking for a long continuance. The good thing about it is Mr. Padilla has done a lot of the work. My understanding he's taken just about all the depositions. I believe they've been transcribed. I haven't gone through all the discovery. She's got the 2 banker's boxes. She has not gone through all the discovery.
You know the judge was punching air right there when he said she hasn't gone through all the discovery. What is preventing her from going through the discovery? She doesn't have anything else to do. I'm like, the trial isn't like right around the corner. She hasn't even gone through all the discovery. It's like all the drama that she kicked up over getting those boxes and doing this and blah, 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 blah. Again, her strategy this whole time has been to just dig her heels in the sand and stall. And here's the thing, it could very well work for her. People like her tend to get their way. Be it right, wrong, or indifferent, unfortunately, their behavior is rewarded. Okay, it's this basic concept here. You're in the line at the grocery store, person in front of you has expired coupons, they throw a hissy fit, drama, yelling at everybody, and the manager's like, okay, yep, we'll accept them, moving on. People, society has trained these personality types to act out and do whatever they want and show their behinds in any situation and keep coming and keep coming and keep coming and blah, 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 because they get what they want, right? Now, it might be a very different way of getting what they want. I feel like what you can end up doing is still getting the result that they do, but in a much nicer way, doing it other ways, whatever that might be. However, in this particular case, in the courtroom, you know, Sarah's just doing what she knows how to do. She's wearing everybody down. She keeps going over the same stuff. She doesn't leave the same thing. Those banker boxes, we went over and over and over and over and over that. And then she finally got them, right? And it was like, well, she got what she wanted. Again, whether it's the system, society, whatever you want to call it, it's geared to give these people what they want. And that's why they do it. Okay, that's why she's doing what she knows how to do because it works.
State, do you have any position?
I guess the state would just respond to a few things. Part of this battered spouse defense has been previously investigated with several of Ms. Boone's previous attorneys, and in fact, the state did retain an expert, Dr. Tanya Warner, who's on the state's witness list in this case, in anticipation of a potential rebuttal of an attempted battered spouse defense. The state's position would be that we would oppose a continuance at this time. However, the state's not opposed to setting another status hearing sometime next week, possibly, where we could address this and to see if there has been any movement, anything that would either change the state's position or...
So you heard that. They've already retained an expert in preparation that she tried to use as defense. Okay. There's that, number one. Number two, he's like, this has already been gone over with several of her previous attorneys. I'm telling you, my opinion is this, and I'm not trying to discount the battered spouse syndrome, because depending on the circumstances of it, and if you follow me, you know we've talked about this with other cases and stuff like that, there are cases that legitimately you 100% know that, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say the woman in the case, I know that both men and women can be victims of this, but typically what we oftentimes see is that traditionally a woman is the victim of this scenario, right? The woman, it's literally like, this guy is going to kill her if she doesn't kill him, right? And it might not be in a certain moment. It might be like, okay, this is my only time. This is when I had, like, it's me or him, and I might not be in some kind of danger exactly in the second, but in 2 hours, you know, I mean, I'm kind of dramatic with this, you know, it's going to happen, right? And so we're starting to see these cases be looked at again, and these scenarios where some of these women have been in there forever, and when you look at the particulars of the case and you're like, how much more abuse did we want this woman to take? You know what I'm saying? Like, what other choice did she have? This dude was going to take her out, okay? So I have a feeling in this case, particularly with Sarah, there's something up with all her previous attorneys talking about this and it never really coming you know what I mean, like to light. And I just personally think that the evidence isn't there to support it. That Sarah probably thinks it is because she made a note on her phone of some of the whatever, and that she's like I can see her being like, you know, August 15th, you know, 8:05, George did this, but it's almost like, well, is there any documented evidence of that? I'm sure neighbors can sit here and say, you know, we saw him fighting, we saw this, we saw that. You know, that kind of a thing. But is there documented history of this? I mean, you know, to the degree, I know that they do have squat, like there's obviously the video footage of, you know, the DV situation and all that, but I'm talking like on and on and on. Because, and I know that I was going to say because she didn't press charges, but that often could be a case because they knew it was going to be worse. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that this case supports that, but again, I don't know all the evidence yet, so, you know, time will tell on that.
All right, Mr. Owens, it seems like you've already started to dive into the case and what the court file has reflected. So clearly you've reviewed what is in the court file and the history of this case.
Yes.
I'm sure you've read the court's June 28th order, which was extensive as to the history of this case, multiple lawyers that Ms. Boone has gone through, the reasons for the non-conflicted out lawyers' bases for withdrawal, and why the court ultimately made a decision that Ms. Boone had forfeited her right to court-appointed counsel by her actions, or alternatively waived her right to court-appointed counsel by virtue of her actions.
You see the cameraman pan over to her. She's just sitting there gloating and all that. Now the judge is sitting here. Again, this judge doesn't put up with it. He's just like, you've dove into this, so I know you know what's going on with this case, buddy. You know that I've said A, B, and C. It's plain and simple, all lined out here. We ain't playing Sarah Boone's game today, okay? But this is not new. We don't have to do it. We are not doing it.
This case has been pending for some time. You advised in your motion to continue that you met with Ms. Boone on 4 different occasions, that you just met with her yesterday for 2.5 hours. You were aware of what the order identified, which was in paragraph 6 of the order and adjudged portion, that trial specially set for October 7th, 2024, and that it would be not continued for any reason, absent extraordinarily good cause, and such extraordinarily good cause would not include the retention of counsel. You haven't been appointed in this case.
Okay, so you heard him. He called it out, right? We ain't continuing this for nothing, and especially not a counsel, you know, somebody come on. Because this is again what I think she would do next, and it still could happen. Say the judge is like, okay, we're going to do a continuous, we're going to do this. Her next strategy would be to fire him at a certain point and just keep dragging and dragging and dragging and dragging this out.
When you undertook this assignment knowing that you were not being appointed, and that by your own representation you're doing this free of charge on a pro bono basis and not seeking recompensation for any lodging or travel.
So there you go, you know, pro bono, free, all this type of stuff. So again, you have to ask what's the motivations of the attorney, right? This is a very particular case. And if he feels like, oh, I can get this, you know, get her off on this, of course that would look good. Now, if I looked up some of his reviews, and people are already like, well, I did this yesterday when I did a video on him. It could have changed or whatever by now, of course. But at the time, there's already a couple of things like, wow, you know, this really speaks volumes that he's taken on this really difficult case and blah, 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 blah. This is obviously a lot of publicity. And, you know, you see attorneys attach themselves to cases like this for this very reason. I'm not saying this guy's doing that in particular, but, I mean, you never know.
185 at pinpoint 189, 4-2nd DCA 2020, your motion for continuance is denied. This trial is still set for October 7th. We will have pre-trial the 6th to 27th. Pre-trial in this matter, or trial case management will still be set for September 26th at 9 a.m.
Woo! You heard that. She's over there just ready to rumble. You know it. Now, he will ask. He'll basically be like, okay, well, look, if we're doing all this, can I do virtual meetings, or, you know what I mean, like for the trial here, or the hearings that they're doing or whatever, not the trial, because he lives, you know, it's not easy for him to get there is what I'm saying. So the judge is like, yes, absolutely, you can do the Zoom call in or whatever for the hearings that we're going to do. There's no need for you to, you know, come back and forth constantly. That part worked out for him in that way.
Those will be extended by good cause shown. Are you seeking at this point in time to extend the deadline for a period for objections which has since expired?
Yes.
Okay. State?
No objection.
Okay. How much time would you like, sir, in order to review the state's digital evidence that it seeks to admit into evidence and tender any objections?
Well, I've got to go by jump drive. I've got to take it down to his office. He's going to give me that evidence. Obviously, I need to review it with my client. I've got a flight out of here around, I think, 4 o'clock. I don't know if I can get it done by then, but I don't see the necessity of an issue maybe a week prior to trial. Whatever that is, a week prior to that Monday, October the 7th, the week prior.
State.
I'm amenable to setting a status hearing that week.
Here's what we're going to do. We'll address any objections to any of the discovery when we have trial case management on the 26th.
So you heard him, okay, we've got to do, the objections, we're going to extend this out. There's this whole rumbling around when that took place where the state prosecutor stood up and he was just like, I don't really know what the guy's asking for. And the judge was like, what are you asking for? Are you asking for a continuance on the objections? And he was like, yes. And so then, we're going into this stuff right here. You heard him say he's flying out at 4 o'clock. Sarah's over there. Right, just pissed off, okay? She's over there all upset. Again, it is what it is at this point, okay? There's this whole entire thing that has to take place now that unfortunately she has spun her wheels on and caused all this drama. This is an exact definition of F around and find out. She effed around and she has found out, right? She's had 5 years, okay? She's had 5 years. Now, before we get into some closing thoughts, let's look at this last clip. I'm just going to talk over it because it's kind of like it's over with or whatever. But I want to watch like her body language and stuff like that. Okay, now look at the fist bump. Look at the fist bump. She's all worried. He's like, we got this. We got this. She's like, give me that pen. I already know what you're going to do with it. Sarah's over there just, she's like, come on. Now watch Sarah. Watch Sarah. All smiles. Just gloating in the attention. Absolutely loves every second of it. So here's the thing. And again, I'm no lawyer or anything like that. I definitely thought that he was going to extend it. I think that he's done his due diligence and his homework to cover all this. However, do I think that it will bode well? Probably long-term, no. I think this is what I think is going to happen. I think at this point the judge is like, we're getting rid of this case. I've done all my homework. I've dotted my I's. I've crossed my T's on this. I've set it all up. We are clearing this from our caseload here. It doesn't matter. Shy of a tornado ripping this courtroom apart, the courthouse, whatever. No more of her antics will be used. So we are done. Almost like this. Let the appeals court take it up. If they have an issue with me not giving her lawyer a continuance at the last minute, let the appeals court take it up. But we're going through. Period. Now, she probably won't complain if it comes back and she gets, not guilty on this, right? So that's what I just think that the judge has done that, and I think he has done his homework because, again, there's a certain level of abusing the system. Clearly, there's things that have taken place with her attorneys that they are not doing what she wants them to do, and she is badgering them. She is being difficult. She's asking them to do unethical things, and they're withdrawing from it. And especially when a client starts insulting the lawyer and saying you're incompetent, you're doing this, you're doing that, well, you can't really continue forth because it's like, I mean, they're telling me I'm not doing, they need better representation, right? I mean, they're ripping me to shreds. This is not going to bode well. They're definitely going to be able to get an appeal because they're already saying that I'm not doing my job right. So with this whole little, I'll call it a gimmick of him coming in at the last minute, doing all this. Oh, now we want to do this and we want to do that. Why wasn't she doing this? Why didn't she enter this? There's this whole big thing about having to file the thing about the battered spouse syndrome 30 days before and that timeline of it or whatever. Because remember, it's what, today is the 4th, I guess. The 7th is trial, so on and so forth, right? This is like really bringing it up to the edge. I think that this is probably what will play out. I think it's going to go to trial. Who know? You never know with a jury, but let's say it comes back she's guilty. The judge has moved it along. Appeals court can come back, they can look at everything and decide then and there if there should have been different action taking place here with all this done. All this work was done, you know, and you even heard her attorney say, oh, they've done all this, they've done this, we've done the depositions, they've done this, and blah, 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 blah. So he's trying to bring some of these experts in to talk about this, you know, battered spouse syndrome and whatnot. Again, if Sarah had gone through her discovery, this is where she gets it here and say, okay, on page 50, they say this, go look this up and work with him on this. So it's like, that better be what she's doing. She better be going through it, but I don't know if they'll let her have that anymore now that she has him. I don't know how that part works, right? I definitely think she went in there thinking that she was going to sweep this courtroom up and like she had just showed them all up. And I definitely think that that's not what happened. And that, you know, it's like, oh, what? I didn't get it. You're watching someone, like I said earlier, who is used to getting what they want by bullying their way into it. And it's just not working anymore in this courtroom. And so she probably is just fuming over that. Again, we'll see. She probably could very well end up firing this dude along the way to stall, but also to have control. There's a big control issue that I see here with her. And again, I'm no therapist or anything like that, but just she likes to be in control and control her environment, probably because she doesn't have any internal control. So she tries to control what's going on around out here, and to a degree she can, right? Because in this you have to like dot your I's and cross your T's and make sure her rights aren't violated and blah 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 blah. And she knows this and she exploits it. So again, time will tell with the situation. We're just going to keep watching it. It's obviously going to get more and more and more and more leading up to this, to the trial is what I'm talking about, because it's, I mean, it's, you know, a month before the trial, right? Again, do I think that she'll be able to pull the thing off? I don't know the evidence. If she's able to concoct a ton of evidence that shows like, whoa, okay, there is tons of documented, and I don't know what kind of documented means, like if that's police contact or photographs or eyewitness or this or that can show that she felt like the only way she was going to survive was to leave him in a suitcase and go upstairs and go to sleep while he screamed for help in it, then hey, I've seen crazier things at this point, right? We'll say. Anyways, that's it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. I do appreciate it if you are still watching. And in fact, speaking of the comment section, drop some little sofas off down there for myself and Roscoe in spirit, so that we can hang out down there and talk to you about Sarah and all the other cases we do talk about here at the Sofa Squad. And until we meander our way down there, I'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. Also, if you're looking for merch, be sure to check out my Teespring store. I'll put that up here. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.